As I sink countless hours into Deadlock, I've noticed a striking similarity between Deadlock and Team Fortress 2, one that goes far beyond an iconic Valve style. Which is why today I want to explore what Deadlock learned from Team Fortress 2 and what it means for the future of Deadlock.
I've got any backup. Need be careful.
Voicelines have been in video games since the early 1980s. Featured in games like Dragon's Lair or Last Alert, early voicelines were used to build on the atmosphere of the game. While many games featured fantastic voicelines between 1980 and 2007, TF2 used voicelines for more than just atmosphere and immersion. TF2's developers utilized voicelines or audio cues in games to help tell players what to do during a match. While they may seem inconsequential, voicelines give players a lot of information about their teams and enemies. Voicelines indicate when players should get to the cart, if teammates nearby are reloading, and whether enemies or teammates alike are low. It was the voicelines in Deadlock that first sparked the idea for this video. My character saying, "Gotta get a relic," reminded me of how TF2 uses voicelines. Then I began to notice all the important voicelines or audio cues there are, even while Deadlock is still in development. Voicelines could play an important part in game awareness as the competitive scene in Deadlock continues to evolve. In competitive TF2, for instance, a medic shouting, "I am fully charged," is an important giveaway for the enemy team, which is why many medic players will force a voiceline over their automatic Uber voiceline, also known as Uber masking.
So what you're going to want to do is consistently mask your Uber, and it's a pretty easy two-step process to mask your Uber. Step 1, get between 97 to 99% Uber, depending on how quickly you're building. And then step 2, use any voice command.
Valve has introduced a similarly important set of voice lines for Deadlock when you reach some of your early shop options, when players get away from you, and other various automatic voice lines that detail what's going on in a match. When the news broke that Deadlock's visual novel was leaked, I thought back to my film degree and was reminded of transmedia storytelling. Transmedia storytelling is taking a story from one medium and expanding it into others. Adapting books into movies can be considered transmedia storytelling, but the most impactful kind is adding more depth to a story through other mediums. Valve perfected the use of transmedia storytelling for video games, making TF2 one of the most influential examples of transmedia storytelling. Taking the seemingly lackluster in-game lore and building upon it with the Meet the Team videos, comics, text, and images on the TF website turned the TF cast into cultural icons. Deadlock is already on track to be a transmedia powerhouse. The characters are unique and the lore of the world is intriguing, even with the limited knowledge we have of it. There are also already countless videos about the Deadlock lore and the background snippets of information we can get from shop dialogues, radio chatter, and the in-game models. Beyond the visual novel, I'd argue Valve will likely think of other unique ways to share the story of Deadlock and its world. I hope this manifests into a Meet the Heroes animated short series, and it's not like Valve is the only one creating character animations and lore animations. Apex Legends did a very similar thing with their mix of character intros and lore expansions for their season animations. I personally just want to see Viscus save the deep. That's why I want a Meet the Heroes animated series. Did you know that TF2 took 9 years to develop? No joke, 9 years. Supposedly, Deadlock is in a very similar boat, having been in development since 2018. However, the time itself isn't what's important about the development of TF2 and Deadlock. TF2 took so long to develop due to changes in art direction from the game's original idea. In the beginning, TF2 was a gritty, realistic war game with RTS and tactical aspects in the Commander class. It took playtesting and ideation for Valve to realize many of the traits they were developing weren't enjoyable for players. Deadlock has already undergone similar changes. Originally titled Neon Prime, Deadlock was set in a futuristic cyberpunk style. The dev team, however, realized that changing to a more unique style not only sets the lore apart, but also emphasizes aspects of the gameplay. The cursed apple aids to the dimensions of the gameplay within Deadlock. Being set in New York builds in the player's minds the verticality of the world, which is a key factor of Deadlock compared to other MOBAs. Another layer of the art direction is the character design. TF2's characters were designed to be instantly recognizable from across the battlefield. It allows for teammates and enemies alike to easily discern the situation in a moment. While Deadlock's art is still in development, characters are largely different in dimensions and colors, making it easy to discern characters like Abrams and Wardens, for instance. Games aren't just made up by the large interactions like art or story design. The best games win on subconscious design as well, things that we don't even notice unless they're bad. It's these aspects where I think Deadlock truly learned the most from Team Fortress 2. You'd think with the fact that Team Fortress 2 is a shooter, there would be no way for Deadlock to inherit shop design from its older sibling. However, Deadlock's shop takes on many aspects that are found in TF2's man versus machine shop. Take a look at shops from various MOBAs. Now Deadlock. While it's still in early access, Deadlock shops are easily outlined and items are separated cleanly compared to other MOBAs. Now look at the shop in Man vs. Machine. The big blocked out upgrades and multiple tabs likely influence Deadlock in some capacity, and I'd argue that the shop is likely one of the most important screens in the entire game. Having a simple, large, and easily accessible shop makes the game much easier for new players. While the UI is no doubt a placeholder, I hope that Deadlock retains the color coding and larger icons compared to other games. TF2 has long been the standard for great movement mechanics in games, but one thing has always held true about mechanics like rocket jumping, tripping, or damage surfing. They are easy to learn, but difficult to master. Team Fortress 2 offers players to learn a plethora of skills to deal with all situations. Every character has advanced levels of mastery that goes far beyond noob or veteran. Pyro is a key class that most players think of when they think of noob, or the WM1. However, pros like Anthid take the class to an entire other level, performing tricks and kills that the developers probably hadn't even imagined in their wildest fantasies. Engineer is another amazing example, taking what many players think of as a turtle to sit in the backlines or near the point, and making them into a power class to be reckoned with. Deadlock has a similar learning curve. All characters have the potential for extreme mastery. Movement is probably one of the easiest skills to showcase mastery, because it's standard amongst all heroes. While for newer players, an easy wall jump here or there can save time, advanced movement can take you from one side of the map to the other if you know what you're doing. In this regard, I hope Deadlock continues to grow with abilities and additions such as the wall jump or items that could even change how players move. This is a good time to talk about what the future could hold based on the other similarities throughout the games. While some of these are fairly cut and dry, I do think other ones are a bit less obvious. While cosmetics are not technically in the game yet, cosmetics will be coming to Deadlock. I originally thought that the cosmetics would be similar to TF2 with different hats and possibly other layers of cosmetics. However, then I saw Jazz Lettuce's video about microtransactions in Deadlock, and I believe in this instance, Deadlock is learning from its other relative, Dota 2. However, there is an additional hint that tells us how microtransactions and cosmetics might come about in Deadlock. Within the visual novel, we can see that it might actually be skins that are coming to Deadlock rather than just cosmetics themselves. During Geist's visual novel, giving Hank the Curse of the Oathkeeper seemingly could unlock an evil Hank skin for you to play as in-game. While this is similar to modern MOBAs and shooters, I do hope that Valve keeps the customizability of cosmetics, whether it be in a TF2 or Dota style. However, I do completely understand that skins might make a lot more sense for this game early on. Community maps and game modes are a staple of Team Fortress 2 and have become legitimate features in recent years. However, arguably, one of the most influential community maps are rocket jump maps. These maps allow players to train their movement skills in ways that I can't even begin to imagine. As the community map-making system for Deadlock continues to expand, we've begun to see maps like Viscous Puddle Punch maps. These maps allow players to advance their movement techniques and skills within the game itself. I'm excited to see how Valve might expand or build on this community map-making system that's already being developed underneath our noses. If there was an option to browse community maps within Deadlock like in Team Fortress 2, it would broaden the reach of these mappers and make custom modes more influential. Man vs. Machine is a fairly popular mode in Team Fortress 2, but also an opportunity for a unique and alternate style of play than the traditional game. Deadlock could learn from TF2 by offering up a unique mode for PvE beyond just playing against bots. A wave defense mode like MVM would be interesting, and possibly based around various characters or in-game lore. For instance, I think that the creature in the deep that Viscous is trying to combat could make for a great enemy that is seemingly trying to attack the mainland or various settlements in the ocean. Scream Fortress is literally one of the biggest times of the year for Team Fortress 2, and brings in fans who haven't played the game since last year, or people interested in the hype around the event. However, I don't think that Deadlock needs to stick to traditional dates for in-game events. I could see celestial or spiritual events being special events within Deadlock, not only to bolster the lore, but also to set Deadlock apart from competition. Imagine having a special event based entirely around the summer or winter solstices. It works well for the game because it fits a mystical and celestial style, but it also is around traditional events that are in other video games. SFM has been a staple of the gaming community for a long time, and is already seeing ports of Deadlock models. Team Fortress 2 had the Saxy Awards and a huge community of animators that create amazing pieces of art. Many memes and animations have transcended past the Team Fortress 2 community. If Deadlock were to have animation competitions or artwork contests, I wonder how it could affect the landscape of the game and the future of its blossoming community. Deadlock and its developers have clearly learned a crucial lesson from TF2, utilizing many aspects that have made TF2 the game it is today. From voice lines to world building, I feel that Deadlock is sure to continue to grow as it learns from its older sibling, Team Fortress 2. Ultimately, whether Deadlock learned something from TF2 or not can only be answered by the developers themselves. But until that time comes, I will continue to believe that TF2 walked so Deadlock could run. While this video is all about what Deadlock learned, I would also like to do some learning myself. As I'm still growing as a content creator, I want to know your thoughts as a viewer about what I can do better, what topics I should cover, and are my graphics really this bad? Why do people keep talking about how bad my in-game graphics look for Team Fortress 2? It's not that bad. I have an old computer. I'm trying my best here. These are questions only you can answer, which is why I implore you to please leave a comment about what I can do better as I continue to make content. Thank you all for watching, and bye for now.